Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, July 15, 2022. I am Yvette Bowens with the details. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has fired back at the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union, saying they are free to take radical action if they so desire. His comment was made after the president of the SVG-TU, Oswald Robinson, threatened to take action if unvaccinated teachers are not reinstated within 2 weeks. PM Gonsalves said the union can act within the framework of the law.
Because I speak about it, and I spoke about it before I spoke to Robinson, and I didn't really refer to Robinson's conversation. The conversation I had with him, I talked to the issues. Oh, they're putting me under pressure. It's burning me, my conscience, all this ridiculous nonsense. I don't feel any pressure. They didn't try their best to even bust me head. I'm not saying that any of the teachers did it, or any public servant or anybody. But I know I got my head bust in a protest which the NDP called, and the union leaderships or sections of them supported it. That day, August the 5th last year, when I get my head bust.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
That is not a trivial thing for me, So what are you going to do me next? Worse than that. And that's why the people of this country ignored Boucher and ignored Robinson in 2015 and 2020 when they urged their members and other people to vote NDP. Take your radical action if you want to take your radical action.
The Prime Minister said the decision about rehiring the teachers will be made based on the advice of the Chief Medical Officer as well as education stakeholders.
Teachers were texting me and calling me and tell me they ain't going to be in any staff room with any teacher who ain't take the vaccine. I didn't say that teachers are going to come back without taking the vaccine. I still urge the teachers to take the vaccine because it is the safest way to protect yourself and protect other persons. That's the science which I accept. And I just received a summary about the epidemiological condition in June. And the advice is therein contained about the efficacy of the vaccine, the efficacy and the effectiveness of the vaccine. And I'm satisfied with it, otherwise I wouldn't have taken it. But it didn't mean you couldn't get COVID if you take the vaccine and you take boosters. What you're doing, you manage the risk. It's not an absolute thing, you manage the risk. And I never open my mouth and talk about reinstating teachers. I say consideration may be given for the re-employment of teachers. I didn't say reinstating because as far as the government is concerned, the teachers who chose not to comply with the law and the regulations made their choice. That's fine. But obviously, if the teachers, any teacher who is re-employed, I will ensure that their previous service will be added to this additional service for their retirement benefits.
Meanwhile, head of the SVG Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, has criticized Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves for comments made about parents and vaccinated teachers having a say in whether unvaccinated teachers should return to the classroom. Oswald said that the SVG-TU is the representative body for the teachers and should not be prevented from performing its role.
Like a government to go down that kind of road, it appears as if you want to drive a nail in the coffin of the teachers union, and for many years now the government have been trying to do that, to mash up the teachers union. And that is not going to happen because politicians come and politicians go and the union continues. So we can't just sit back idle and say, oh, wait and see what can happen. We have to be proactive and we have to strike while the iron is hot.
Robinson and PM Gonsalves have been going head-to-head recently over an announcement made by the PM that consideration is being given to rehiring teachers who were dismissed. Robinson said government should reinstate the teachers in the interests of the students.
When people hear me quoting 2 weeks, I am not just lifting that building a castle in the air. Schools have to be staffed. Right now they have bridging programs going on and some schools are not fully staffed. Schools have to be staffed so that teachers could start to work with the staff to prepare for the school term, and you have to do that and do it all your clock if we are really serious about education in this country. The quality teachers have been fired. Therefore, we want them back in the classroom. And this is the bigger picture that parents have to look at. Because the results from CXC, CPA, and even the internal results in schools, the students have missed quite a lot. They could have performed better. But you remove the quality teachers from the classroom and you replace them with persons who are not that experienced, and that is the problem that has been created by the government. And I said to the Prime Minister, as soon as you have this matter resolved, so that people could go back to some form of normalcy. It may not be exactly the same because COVID is still impacting upon everybody, socially, economically, and so forth. It is going to be better for the nation. That's what I said to him. So to hear him talking about rehiring now, the teachers union must be concerned about this rehiring thing. Rehiring is not in our vocabulary. It is about reinstatement.
Listing challenges teachers continue to face, Robinson said teachers were unable to pay their mortgage and medical insurance over the 6 months since they were fired. The metaverse will be the new way of doing business in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is according to the Minister of Tourism and Culture, Carlos James, who is urging Vincentians to turn to the metaverse to earn revenue. In his opening remarks at Unlocking the Metaverse, a forum which was held on Thursday to inform persons in the cultural and creative industries about how technology can be used to push their goods and services to the global market, Minister James says SVG is making strides in the right direction. He also says the webinar is the first of many to come.
It is going to be the new way of doing business. And companies such as Nike, music industry companies such as Universal Music Group, artists such as Snoop Dogg, Rihanna, they're turning to the metaverse to earn revenue. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as a small island developing state, is taking the bold initiative as perhaps one of the first of the OECS countries to partner with the OAS, Meta, and all of our stakeholders to bring to you the first in a series of webinars to start the conversation and the consultation on how we can capitalize and take advantage of the opportunities for our stakeholders within the creative sector.
Commenting on the recently passed Virtual Assets Business Bill, which regulates the movement of virtual assets, Minister James says it is important for SVG to stay ahead of the curve. He says the next step for government is to ensure that the necessary systems are in place to support revenue-earning opportunities for local creatives.
I want to see the opportunity for stakeholders at every end of the month. They can go to their e-wallet, check their balances, and convert their NFTs and their Bitcoins and their crypto and convert that into real cash and take it to the bank and say, well, I have an income. I'm a stakeholder in the creative industry. I'm a professional. I pay taxes. I pay NS. I create employment. I'm a sole trader or a business, but I have an income.
Minister of Finance and Information Technology, Camila Gonzalez, has announced that historical artifacts related to the Garifuna heritage will be returned to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The artifacts linked to Garifuna chief and SVG's only national hero, Joseph Chatier, is currently in the possession of the West India Committee in the United Kingdom. The High Commissioner for SVG met with the committee last month to decide a way forward for the artifacts. Minister Gonzalez says it is important that the artifacts be returned in order to preserve SVG's indigenous history.
They have in their possession a carved coconut from the year 1773. Okay? That coconut was given by Chatier, our national hero, to the British when they signed the treaty at the end of what was called the First Carib War. It's probably the oldest coconut in the world. And it is intricately carved. It's beautiful. And they're going to return it to us because it is an artifact, it's part of our heritage. It's the only object we'll ever have. It's the only object that we may ever have that we'll know for sure that Chateau held in his hand.
Minister Gonzalez adds it is critical that Vincentian history be recorded in the global virtual space known as the metaverse.
And I said, before you send it back, we want it back for Heroes Day. But before you send it back, I want you to create a digital replica of it for me, so that people all around the world will be able to virtually pick it up and virtually turn it around and virtually see that slice of Garifuna history from the year 1773. And I'm asking that they come and they do it with our petroglyphs, and I'm asking that they come and they do it with our pottery, so that our history will exist in the metaverse, virtually, beyond whoever might walk into a museum in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Police have launched an investigation into a double homicide that occurred in Old Montrose on Thursday night. Preliminary investigations reveal that around 9:45 p.m., a shooting incident resulted in the deaths of Darius Bino, a 25-year-old laborer of Old Montrose, and Zimran Richards, a 28-year-old laborer of Redemption Sharps. The deceased men were sitting at the side of a public road on Block 2000 in the vicinity of the Singer warehouse when a white Nissan car with an unknown registration number drove by. The occupants of the car opened fire on the men, and they both sustained multiple gunshot wounds about their bodies. Bino was pronounced dead at the scene, while Richards died after being transported to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital for treatment. A third man also sustained injuries during the incident and is currently hospitalized with a gunshot wound to his left leg. Police say the motive for the shooting is unknown at this time. The deaths bring the total number of homicides to 25 for this year. Anyone with information about the shooting is asked to contact the Assistant Commissioner in charge of crimes at 784-457-1211. In an unrelated incident, police have arrested and charged Cheslon James, a 24-year-old seaman of Paget Farm in Beckwith, with the offense of possessing an unlicensed firearm. James is also charged with discharging a loaded firearm at a 42-year-old carpenter of the same address. The accused is expected to appear in court to answer the charges. 2 tropical waves will affect St. Vincent and the Grenadines over the weekend. An update from the SVG Met office says there will be moderate shower activity starting tonight, Friday, July 15th, into Saturday morning, with a decrease in intensity as the day progresses. By late Saturday evening, another tropical wave will affect the island and should result in moderate to heavy showers on Sunday. On Saturday night into Sunday, wind speeds are expected to increase to 45 and 50 kilometers per hour as the second wave approaches. Residents and motorists in areas prone to flooding and landslides or near rivers and streams should remain alert. Small craft operators and sea bathers are asked to exercise caution for above normal sea swells and gusty winds. These conditions could further deteriorate by late Saturday. In addition, a layer of Saharan dust haze will be across the region over the weekend, but could slightly thin out on Sunday. The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Forestry Department is working to prevent the illegal trade of 2 endemic species. The department has increased its vigilance in an effort to stop the poaching and illegal trade of the Grenadines pink rhino iguana and the Union Island gecko. According to the acting forestry supervisor Bradford Latham, the species are being hunted. Latham revealed legislation is being reviewed to increase the penalties for violating the endemic species. He said the department is also working closely with the Tobago Keys Marine Park and the Union Island Environmental Alliance to monitor wildlife reserves. Vincentians are being encouraged to get a general health check done. This encouragement was made by Supervisor of the Kingstown Health District, Roxanne Laidlow, who explained that females should get checked for cancer as the disease is one of the leading causes of death globally. Sister Laidlow says the pap smear, breast screening, and mammogram are the main tests females should get done.
Smear. Okay? So you may want to ask, well, who should have a pap smear? Correct? So I would say all women, women. If you are sexually active or if you have been sexually active, we are encouraging you to have a pap smear done.
How often should?
So first, for the first 3 years, yearly for the first 3 years. If, let us say, you would have 3 negative tests, then your healthcare provider will determine maybe every 2 years or so. I noticed that the literature is changing. Some researchers are saying continue yearly, some are saying every 2 years. So you will discuss this with your provider and you will determine if I should continue yearly or otherwise. So also, if you're over 69 years old and you never had a pap smear, we are expecting you, we are encouraging you to have one done. If you notice any abnormal signs or symptoms, maybe you're postmenopausal and you're bleeding, this is not a good sign. So we are encouraging you to have your pap smear done as well.
The family nurse also said males should ensure that they get screened for prostate cancer.
Prostate cancer screening, right? And they should be done as early as 40 years, especially if you have a first generation person who was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So let's say your father, your brother, we encourage you to have that done at 40. If not, then maybe 50 could be accepted. All right? The diagnostic test for the prostate cancer screening, we have the PSA, the prostate specific antigen. This is a blood test. It's a simple blood test, just like any other. You go to the lab and you have a little blood drawn, and your healthcare practitioner would read the results for you. We have also the DRE, which is the digital rectal examination, and this one I find there's a lot of hesitancy, maybe because of the procedure itself, but I want to encourage persons that you are seeing a professional, a healthcare practitioner. Okay, so this is a simple, quick, and painless procedure. All right, in terms of them identifying the prostate, they are feeling for any lumps, any hardened area. This could give you an immediate red flag, if you feel something right there and then. So either of the two, if you're not comfortable with your DRE, then please have your PSA done.